صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. عباد الله، فإن أكمل الكلام كلام الله، فيه خبر من كان قبلنا وحكم فيما بيننا وخصم فيما اختلفنا فيه. يجب علينا أن نتحاكم إلى كتاب الله وسنة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في جميع قضايانا وأمورنا حتى نسير على الهدى ونسير على النور، وكي نفلح في هذه الدنيا وفي الآخرة. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يلهمنا رشدنا إنه ولي ذلك والقادر عليه. Brothers and sisters, our topic this afternoon has to do with the continuation of our Quran serialization, Quran chapter 2, verse 229. From Quran chapter 228 downwards speaks about talaq, divorce. And therefore, since we are going to treat 229, definitely we are going to continue from where our previous imams ended, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, we want the topic to be very practical, and therefore it behoves upon us to touch on what are some of the issues or some of the rights that we have to fulfill. Wife, husband, relationship, what are some of the rights and responsibilities that we have to fulfill so that the marriage does not get to the extent where we will have to issue divorce. Now, Ebianu yɛ ka wade dɛ ho asɛm na awɔreka ho asɛm no ɛnyɛ asɛm ketewa o. Yɛka awade ho asɛm a awade nyɛ asɛm ketewa koraa. Otumfo Nyankopɔn sɛ wɔkɛntɛ ta'khudunahu wa in aradtum istibdala makana zawjin wa ataytum ihdahunna qintara fala ta'khudhu minhu shay'an ata'khudunahu buhtanan wa ithman mubinan wa kayfa ta'khudunahu wa qad afdha ba'dukum ila ba'd وَأَخَذْنَا مِنْكُمْ مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا. When Allah speaks about marriage, He describes marriage as a very strong covenant between the two spouses. Not even the covenant that He gave, He signed, the contract that He signed between Him and the prophets, and entrusted the book and His laws to them that they should pass it on to the human beings. Allah did not describe it as mithaq and ghaliza. Though Allah described it as mithaq, it's a contract. But He didn't say a strong contract. But when it came to the contract of marriage, He said it's a very strong, firm contract. It tells us how sacred and how important that bond and that relationship of marriage is in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
èyí tó tó ní ẹ̀mẹ̀tọ̀fẹ́lẹ̀ ní èyí olùgbà ẹ̀mẹ̀ wọ ọ̀mẹ̀tọ̀fẹ́lẹ̀ lébò ní káàkọ́ ní ìkẹ́ tápà níka mi kẹ mẹ́rin ní ẹ̀jẹ̀ rẹ̀ àti ní ìtọ́nà ní ìkáyẹ̀ olù akẹ́sì yẹ́yà ní ẹ̀kẹ́ ara àdìsàn ní àbẹ́fọ́nà náà ẹ̀kẹ́ yá iye ìgbẹ́ tápà níka bù kẹ̀lé pàtàkì kéye ètí wà mẹ́tọ̀fẹ́lẹ̀ ní.
Check on it, in a cheap coffee. Tafate, check on water like a contract. Nika, let me tell you what we get. Tafate, a lawyer thing. She will live in her and she will nika nunke a fatal thing. She wired and what me dark and deliver. Ni allow me she will live in her baloye. Eke she will live in what? Yet she will do. Today, about she will make a new Kayote, yes, she will need tea. When I did not come to your branch, you did not come to your me. Our dear in Yadikua said a Pama, and that man or man to answer the front, the cow and then once a man. I'm son of a buffo member, now Papa said, they must be Italian. And our boss like us our bread to a party in Yamaha. We are never saying. I was here to our dinner. I said, the chefa and that for me, meeting. One will make sure, say, one for the list that Chefano. Say, I'm all to see that. Now, if I don't take a decision, I don't say, one for me in a wire. One most knows and not for me in a wire. They will make me and a wire. What for me in a what's away? I went to Yaya was in Java. He says, you know, you get proper home. Afanu asɛdeɛ bɛyɛ da wɔn ntam a wɔso wɔn yɔ ansa na wɔde na wɔkɔ duru mpempemsuo na bɛka sɛ ne gyaa wadeɛ efi kɔmhyɛni sɛ dɛn abdul halal inda allah abdalak nneɛma a nyame ama ho kwan no nea nyankopɔn akyiri kora yɛ awaregyae na
yɛbɛyɛ na wɔde yɛ ɔbɛrɛ ne nafɔ na wɔne akɛhye ɛbɛyɛ wɔ dɛm ɛhyɛ hɛni ɛbalɛ akɛhye bra apite dɛ bẹ́ẹ̀ èdè wà agbàgbèsè àpò ìní lọ́nà sí ní ìsàlẹ̀ ẹgbẹ́ àjọmọ̀lọ́ yàtọ̀ àṣìlú ẹ̀yọ́ ìlọ́nà yòówù ẹ̀yọ́ ìlọ́nà ti fẹ́ẹ́ sẹ́rẹ̀ gbé àwọn àkàbọ̀ ẹ̀yẹ́sì nìdáni ìgbà abalẹ̀ nàkà nìdáni ìṣẹ̀jẹ̀ rẹ̀ àṣẹ nítorí ìwà nìyẹn bí ẹ̀rẹ́ ní àjọpẹ́lẹ̀ rẹ̀ ní ìdí ẹ̀rọ ìwẹ̀ ní àkàyí yẹn àbáyé àyàwòdá pé òmùgbọ̀n ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ náà ní ìṣúná yẹn ní kúránkó ìṣúná ẹ̀mí ìkórè ìgbàsílẹ̀.
Today, divorce has become rampant. What is the cause? The cause is because of bad character. Su'ul khulq. We don't have good character. We can't contain our wives. Small problems, we say we want to divorce. Egoistic. Women, small problem, they say they're giving up. They just want to pack themselves and leave the marriage. My dear brothers and friends, first of all, let us ask ourselves, have we fulfilled our rights? Have we fulfilled our husband's rights? Have we done what we are supposed to do before issuing a divorce or saying that I want to leave the marriage? My dear brothers and friends, in Surah Al-Nisa, what did Allah say? وَأَنْشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. When we speak of marriage, how should a man deal with a wife? And how should the woman also deal with the husband? What is the right of the husband? What is the right of the woman? Have we fulfilled all these rights? When Allah was advising the two couples, here the advice is not just limited to the man. It is also referred to the woman. Live with your husband with ma'ruf. What is ma'ruf? Live with your wife also with ma'ruf, with all kindness, with all good character that Allah has invested in you. Try to exert it. Try to apply it when it comes to dealing with your husband, when it comes to dealing with your wife. The command is Allah was commanding the husband, and it also applies to the woman as well. In the case of the woman, what you must ensure that you have done, and despite doing that, there is no result, and therefore you want to seek to go out or probably to come out of that contract to leave the marriage. There are some three basic things that you have to do. Number one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes this in the Holy Quran. It says, فَالصَّالِحَاتُ قَانِتَاتٌ حَافِظَاتٌ لِلْغَيْبِ بِمَا حَفِظَ اللَّهِ. Allah says, every good wife must be a righteous wife. You have to be a righteous woman, salihat. You have to be righteous. That is your first condition. About you always say, Ujawa, then you become this house, or your backsimana, or your bapa, the no woman. About you to me, everyone feeling and go on a right, you know. Every year, when you look at a man, Rebecca Liku. If you look in the right, now when you put one share and say, I'm sure you wouldn't have been maruf. Young fire huntina, I was by Pum, young put one the Bema and your bang in an ekasa. Or Bani get a name of you some. You become a swala. Waba, or your bapana. Wasalla, would it be a one as a Diago? Usiam, would it be a one as a Diago? We are Brazilian. We will be a woman made everything Colana. Some when now not because of when you time and say more community, who could remember when you time more who go to say, oh, Paco Yama, Aqua, this I will say, some conditions here, young people, or say, man, for Salihat, you did have. There doesn't be Oba, it was the Carnitas. Look, we have a lot of challenges here, my brothers and friends. Women nowadays, Allahu Akbar, majority of them are career women. And if you are a career woman, how can you control your ego to respect and obey your husband? Except a few women who are very righteous. Despite probably they being more rich than the husband, they still humble themselves and obey the husband. So your second condition from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the right of your husband is to be qanitat, to be obedient towards the husband. To be obedient towards the husband. The husband calls you, you frown at him. The husband wants to have something to do with you. You say, no, I'm tired, I don't want to do it. So, are you fulfilling this right? Qanitat, you have to be obedient towards your husband. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not do that out of nothing. الرجال لهن خصوصيات ما ليس للنساء. أما الجنة الدور تيمون الجنة أشم مقصنا يعقوب بابا مما وليس الذكر كالأنثى. أما سيد يعقوب بابا ومن أيسرونكم سيد يعقوب أما سنو أيسرونكم ومن ينانو بيبيا وبابا تفا وهنو ɛhɔno ɛna bɛrima no wɔ no ɔyɛ den wɔ a wɔde bɛboa ɔbaa no. Beebi a ɔbaa no nso kɔfa wɔ hɔ no ɛhɔ na bɛrima no yɛ den. Beebi a bɛrima no nso kɔfa no ɛhɔ na ɔbaa no nso ɛyɛ den. Ɛba na yɛyɛ ahobraseɛ tema a mmaa wɔ bebree kyɛn mmarima. Nti ɛkɔba ne sɛ wɔ bɛrima si ntɔ a ɛwɔ tema mu ne ahomɔborɔ mu no sɛde ɛbɛn ne bi a ɔbaa no bɛba mu na ɔde aboa no hɔ. So you can mirror the ba'dhum ma ba'dhan. We share we ne tofa no wɔhyɛ ne ma we so hyɛ ne ne ma na sɛ kɔba no obi a yɛyi ne sɛ ɔbɛbɛ nsia na no a bɛrima yɛyi wade yɛ ti because susu wɔn nko bi sɛ n'adwene no Nyankopɔn ayɛ no complete ɛkyɛ mmaa ɔbɛrima n'adwene no ɛda ho standard wɔbaa deɛ no bɛrima deɛ yɛ 100% a ɔbaa deɛ yɛ 50%. ɔmo adwene no esuayɛ eti di sɛ nti ɔbaa mpo no sɛ ɔbɛdɔ bɛrima a ɔkɔ bɛrima ɔbɛtuma protect no a ɔbɛtuma take decisions papa ɛno nti ne yɛka sɛ arrijalu qawwamuna ala nisa ɛno nti ne Nyankopɔn de mmarima to awareɛ no ɔde ɔmo to busua no ɛnyɛ the fact sɛ mmarima no bɛ control mmaa no daabi na mmom wɔn na wɔn tete adwene yɛ ti de take decision ɛwɔ busua mu ne sɛ nti no ɔbaa will have your right, your second right is to be obedient towards your husband. The third right is to be somebody who protects the property of your husband in his absence. However, things you do in secret in the room, you don't reveal it outside. And you keep your husband at heart. So these three things, are you doing all these three things? It is a command from Allah. وَعَنْشُرُهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. That is the part of the woman. That of the man, what he has to do is to do ihsan towards the husband, towards the wife. He has to be very righteous towards the husband. Be kind towards the wife. Be kind towards the wife. To be good towards the wife. To be very nice towards the wife. To be very kind, empathetic, merciful towards the wife. Have you been merciful enough? Small problem that happens because you've seen another woman. And that woman is attracting, some features of that woman is attracting so much to the extent that it has become a screen that has obscured your face from seeing the goodness from your wife. What the prophet says, La yadriku mu'minu mu'mina. No believing man must despise the believing woman. In كَرِهَ مِنْهَا خُلْقًا سَرَّتْهُ خُلْقًا آخَرَ. If for one reason or the other, the wife has somehow, you get something from her, a character from her, a feature from her, something from her, then remember that there are other good things that you can dwell upon, which are positives. Close your eyes on the bad things and rather focus your eyes on the good things you can see on your wife. My dear respected brothers and friends, these are the things that you and I have to ensure. Have we fulfilled these rights? And then after doing all these, we adopt that we are not seeing response. And let us try to understand. When Allah spoke about عَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, coexist, relate to each other with ma'ruf. Ishra, ulama are saying, is cooperation. It is not the fact that the man is doing his part and the woman is not doing her part. Both of them. Once the man is doing kind and nice towards the wife should also do what? Should also do her part. When the two of them are doing their parts, it will be very difficult to end up in a divorce. But if all these processes fail, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given a way out. And that is the verse we are going to recite unto you and try to do some, try to explain. The time will not permit us to do everything here. But a little we can do, we'll stop and another Imam will come and continue. When everything fails, and the only thing that we can result to is divorce, there's a way out of Islam. Now.
agbèrè pàṣípà yóò nílò lóko ìhà ìpàtàkì agbèrè lọ́yìn ìdílé yóò nílò lóko èrè ìpàtàkì níbi àyíká ìlú ẹ̀bẹ̀. Ìwọ̀n pẹ́ẹ́tì lẹ́kẹ́ yìí ṣe kẹ́kẹ́ ìwé ìwé òyìnbó wọn tó wà sí ló ṣe nàkàlẹ́ ẹ̀ lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ àkàkẹ́kẹ́ nàkàlẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ sàkábó ti ṣàfihàn.
Fọlá, our regret. Jabba, when you destroy your family, it's as though you are destroying the sanctity of the whole world. The destruction of one nuclear family is the destruction of an aspect or a branch of the human family altogether. But divorce is not a destruction. Divorce is a way out, is an alternative. And this is subhanallah. This explains to us the wisdom behind the Sharia. The Sharia is full of wisdom, to such an extent that Islam does not impose force upon someone. If you are into a situation that you know you can't do anything. Islam is not about for better for worse. You are in, so there's nothing you can do. Islam protects the human rights of individuals. What you don't like, you cannot be forced into marriage. If you are in marriage, you've gotten to some extent and you feel that no, if I continue staying in this marriage, I may disobey my husband and probably is my enemy in Jahannam. So the only way is to leave. There's a way of you can leave. Allah makes it very clear. He says, "At-talaqu marratan, fa imsakun bima'ruf, aw tasrihun bi-ihsan. Wa la yahillu lakum an ta'khudhu mimma ataytumuhunna shay'an illa an yakhafa alla yuqima hududallah. فإن خفتم ألا يقيما حدود الله فلا جناح عليهما فيما افتدت به تلك حدود الله فلا تعتدوها ومن يتعدى حدود الله فأولئك هم الظالمون فإن طلقها فلا تحل له من بعد حتى تنكح زوجا غيره وإن طلقها فلا جناح عليهما أن يتراجع إن ظن أن يقيما حدود الله وتلك حدود الله يبينها لقوم يعلمون. Respected brothers and friends, hey, Chale Quran can't be bossa. We have a profound book like the Quran, but still we have not understood the wisdom in this book. We are just playing and wasting our time. Look at how explicit, how reasonable the Quran explains the matters of divorce. How articulated. It makes a lot of sense because Allah says, I'm explaining these details to people who are knowledgeable people who are reasonable, to understand that my laws are full of wisdom. My dear brothers and friends, Allah says we should fear Allah. If there's nothing you can do except to divorce your wife, having a legal excuse for that, you only have 3 thresholds, 3 times. 3 different times you can divorce your wife. You can't just say, you wake up in the morning, your wife has displeased you, you say, I've divorced you, so pack your things and go. Wallahi, you will answer on the day of judgment. You defied the laws of Allah. You violated the laws of Allah. When you were going to marry the woman, you didn't just go in one day and then you were giving the woman one day. You assessed her. It took time. Families came into contact. Negotiations went on. But one day you just wake up and say, you go. Because you are angry. Because you've seen another woman who is very beautiful. So you are blinded. Allah says, "At-talaqu marratan." If you want to issue divorce, the divorce will be justified Islamically on 3 occasions. In this verse it says 2 times. Marratan. 2 times. We don't want to go into the details. This is not an avenue for go into the details. Nikah or Sunni, Talaq or Sunni, Talaq or Bid'ah. The time is very limited. When you issue a divorce in the state of the purity of the woman, which you have not had contact with her, just right after menstrual cycle, you issue the divorce, the woman will have to stay in your house to do 3 menstrual cycling, 3 height. When she exhausts it, and you don't change your mind to hold her back, now there should be separation between the two of you. There should be separation between the two of you. You don't have any right to say, okay, I have changed my mind. I want to hold back my wife. Now the woman, she has been given the power. After the 3 months has exhausted, the power will be handed over to the woman to decide whether she will agree to marry you again or not. And in that situation, if she agrees, you would have to now go and pay another dowry and marry her newly. That is when you have not exhausted your 3 thresholds that you have been given, sections you have given. You've issued only first 1 divorce, and you didn't change your mind. And 3 months, 3 menses elapsed, and you didn't change your mind. Now separation, they will separate between the two of you. But you don't have the right to say that, no, I'm changing my mind, so I want you to come and let's stay by force. No. She now has the right to say she would accept or she will not accept. But you also have the right, in case she says she has accepted, you can still marry her again. But this time, you not just go and tell her, come and let's leave. You go and pay you dowry and start do another aure again before you marry her. But within that 3 months, that 3-month period, if you issue talaq 3 times, and then the 3 months exhausts, it's finished. You can't marry her again until she goes to marry another man. That man also divorces her. Then you can marry her. I hope you understand. So talaq issue is not easy. If you say, I'm divorcing you, the woman has to stay in your house. Divorce is not easy. She has to stay in the house. Perhaps maybe during that 3-month period, you may change your mind and say, I want to hold back my wife. And during that 3 months, you can change your mind and say, okay, fine. Now I'm changing my mind. I want us to leave again. So you bring a witness, someone to witness. Now you change your mind. You want to live with her as a husband and a wife. And during that period, the women should also be furious and say, I'm angry. Hey, you are divorcing me, so I'm packing my things. She will not wait for the 3-month period to exhaust. She will say, I'm packing my things, I'm going to my parents. When she does that, she has violated the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. La tukhrijuhunna min buyutihinna wa la yakhrujna. Don't sack them from their house. And they themselves should not also move out of their house until the 3 menstrual period has exhausted. And the man says that, still, I want you to go. Then now there should be separation between the two of you. I believe it is clear. Now, very good.
but on here, and you know a woman once more, who asked for two and a time. If you can't be here, you go and then okay, so you must get it. You may get the woman and that me and you. I'm
كل لما يسكت في سورة الله الله توكلت حدود الله فلا تعتدوها والنسول دوقين الله كان ولي يسأل دوقين الله. When it comes to divorce, let's fear Allah. Let us not follow our hearts. Let us not follow our desires. These are the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We shouldn't transgress them. My beloved brothers and sisters, marriage is a very great thing in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The brothers and friends, a man, the wife of a Sahabi known as Rifa'a, she lodged a complaint to the wife of the Prophet Aisha that my husband, Rifa'a married me and he divorced me the third time. And then I went and married another man known as Abdurrahman Abdullah bin Al-Zabid. When I went and married Abdullah bin Zabid, in fact, inna alatahu kahudbat as-sawm. She came to the wife of the Prophet ﷺ that my husband, the second one that I married, his skin is very loose. His skin is very loose. Kahudbat as-sawm. Like if you have a cloth, the cloth is a wash like that. It's very loose. So the Prophet ﷺ, when she said that, the Prophet laughed, he smiled. And this has to do with the beautiful character of the Prophet ﷺ. He smiled, and all the Sahaba standing there, they all smiled. So there was one Sahabi known as Khalid bin Sa'id, standing by the door. He was waiting for a permission to be given for him to enter. When he heard how this woman was saying this in front of Rasulullah ﷺ, then he said to Abu Bakr, he was also there in the presence of Rasulullah, ألا تسمعين كيف تجاهر هذه المرأة للرسول? Can't you hear how this woman is speaking explicitly clear about the thing that is loose, clearly in front of Rasulullah? Because this woman has a right to express herself when it is needed, when it is necessary. She has the right to explain herself when it is necessary. But when it is not necessary, she doesn't have the right to speak that explicitly like that. In fact, then the Rasul invited Abdullah bin Zabid. And then he told Abdullah bin Zabid that this is what your wife is saying. Abdullah bin Zabid, no man will accept to be told that he's with you when it comes to that thing. So he also defended himself. He says, Ya Rasulullah, inni la anfuduha nafdal adin. Ya Rasulullah, you don't know if you come and see, I shake the bed very well. No, men are very egoistic when it comes to that thing. The Rasul again smiled. And then he asked this woman, Aturidina an tarjuni ila Rifa'a? Do you want to go back to Rifa'a? I can see that. The Prophet understood her. She said yes. Then the Rasul told this woman that it is not allowed. You can't return to Rifa'a until tazuki usailatahu wa yazuqa usailatah. Until the two of you have something to do proper. You take it, she also takes it very well. And when he issues divorce, then you can go back to what? To your former husband. At that time, Rifa'a heard about some more treatment. And he was also ready to accept the wife if he intends to come back to him. I hope you understand now.
ní ìgbẹ̀lẹ̀ àdìsí yẹn ìgbàlẹ̀ akẹ́sí yóò wẹ̀ ètàwọ̀ ní ewé kan ìwọ ìkẹsàn ní ẹ̀sìn ìgbàlẹ̀ wọn rẹ̀ sàlẹ̀ wà ní ìwọ̀sálẹ̀ yìí ìwọ ní ètò yẹn ìkẹsàn ní ẹ̀sìn yìí ìwọ bẹ́ẹ̀ kálọ̀ ègbò rẹ̀ pé ní lẹ́yìn yóò rẹ̀ àdìgbàlẹ̀ ìnà akẹ́sí ìdìbò ẹ̀ wá ìwọ kálọ̀ fíò pẹ̀lú ọ̀yọ́ fíò nàkàndínlẹ̀ àwọn yẹn gbogbo yẹn kẹ́mẹ́ nínú àkàrẹ̀kọ̀kọ́ ẹ̀yẹ́bá àtàlọ́ọ̀mù ti ṣe láti sí ìyówó rẹ̀ kẹ̀ẹ̀ẹ́dẹ̀ yíyẹ gbàlọ́ọ̀mù yẹ̀ wọ ìpapò sí ewu lórí àmọ́ ìwọ ní iṣẹ́ àbúbàkà ìgbẹ́ àrẹ̀sì ẹ̀sìn ọ̀tẹ̀ náà lè fi ìwò ilẹ̀ ní ìgbà gbàlọ́ọ̀mù yẹ̀ nínú wọ́n ní ìgbòmí wá ní ẹgbẹ́ ìdíyàwó ìfáàmà ni dia dan monyet dia lo akasi dia isya datang lo ni dia akasi atau orang non ni dewo ni tidak ditahu dia tu ada non yo dia buku sana apa dia jika dia akasi wana dia ego meditasi Islam aku ni akasi nak ambil yang di buku ewa dia nak tani aja ambala ni dia abile ni aja dia kalau dia akasi ni dia buat ini Bíbí kó sọ̀rọ̀ náà sí ṣàdúrà fún ẹ̀kọ́ òwòsàn. Wọ́n ní àrẹ́jọ́ ní ẹgbẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ní ẹ̀ka ìgbà náà bí ìlú rẹ̀ àrẹ̀sí ní ìná àrẹ̀sọ́ kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ náà. Ó lè pàtàkì ní ó sílẹ̀ lóògbé ẹ̀mẹ́lẹ́ ọ̀rọ̀. Èyí súnmọ́ mọ́ nígbà òótọ́ àwọn èèyàn fún ohun èlò gẹ́gẹ́ ní ẹgbẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ìkàlọ́ ẹ̀dá rí. Wọ́n yẹ kọ́ sílẹ̀ àásí àkẹ́sí wọ́n ní òkèlè ọ̀rẹ́ ìbá àásí òkèlè
Kiashi bi ambele ko ba kawo na okwe ile ba kai na ekwe.
Mise ba e ka igbe ila ge.
Da be ka le ka lo do ba. O so na be ka do ba. Finally our time is fast spent. The last story that has to do with the right of the woman to also say I want to leave. Islam gives the woman also the right if she wants to leave on condition. Now further. There's a story about Sabit bin Qais. The wife came to the Prophet and said, Ya Rasulullah, Sabit bin Qais, naturally I hate him. Naturally, I can't continue staying with him. I don't have any problem pertaining to his good character or his deen. He is a very righteous person. And he is a very, very good person. But naturally, I hate him. And I fear that when I continue to stay with him, if I don't take care, I might not fulfill his rights. And if I end up not fulfilling his rights on the day of judgment, I'll be subjected to the hellfire. And therefore, the best way is I want us to separate. Now, Mínísítà ọ̀hán yóò rẹ̀ káàkiri sí. Jẹ́ nígbà àwọn ọmọ yẹ ìsọ̀lẹ̀ ọ̀. Jẹ́lẹ̀ súnmọ́ ń pápá ní ìwé yìí. Tí nítorí mi yẹ ọ̀nà ń súnmọ́ rẹ̀. Nìdí tí wọ́n ní ìgbẹ̀rẹ̀ láàrín sí nígbà wọn nígbà ọ̀pọ̀ ọ̀pẹ̀rẹ̀ ayọ̀wọ́ ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ àbílẹ̀ àgbẹ̀rẹ̀ àwọn. My brother and friend, Sabit bin Qais Hadid. Sabit bin Qais is a very righteous person. He was even promised to enter into Jannah while he was living. When the verse was revealed, La tarfa'u aswatakum fawqa sawti an-nabi, don't raise your voices above the voice of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He confined himself in the room crying because he's known as a khatib, somebody who speaks explicitly. He's a poet, and the prophet is the only person who the prophet allows to speak in his presence, even if he can raise his voice. Anytime he speaks, everybody will pay attention to listen to him. So when the voice was revealed, he confined himself in the room, crying. The prophet did not see him, he missed him. He inquired, where is Sabit bin Qais? Then he was told that ever since this verse was revealed, he has confined himself in the room crying. The prophet said, go and tell him. When he came, the prophet said, no, the verse is not referring to you. You are exceptional. إِنَّكَ سَتَعِيشُ حَمِيدًا وَتُقْتَلُ شَهِيدًا وَتَدْخُلُ الْجَنَّةِ. You will live as a commended person, Hamidan, very peaceful person, and you will be killed as a martyr in the path of Allah, and you will enter Jannah. He was somebody who was very righteous, promised Jannah, yet despite all these good characters, the wife says she wants to separate. And the prophet also gave her that right. The prophet did not say, okay, oh, he's righteous, at least. Because in another version, sorry, I've taken your 5 minutes, forgive me. In another narration, you know what this woman said? The woman said once she was coming from somewhere, from the market, she saw Sa'd ibn Qais in the group of some guys, men, they were coming. When she saw Sa'd ibn Qais, she saw that no, out of all those guys, he was the one who is the one who is not handsome at all. Very short. And she described him as Demiman. In Arabic, Demiman, somebody who is not handsome. And he's also short. And also dark in complexion. In fact, anyway, she relates to the wife of the Prophet ﷺ as, I think, as a cousin or something. The wife who is known as Sophia. She's related to her. He, rather, is related to her. And therefore, when she told the Prophet ﷺ this, the Prophet called Thabit and then asked the woman, how much dowry did Thabit give to you when you were entering into marriage? She said, he gave me 2 gardens. The Prophet asked her, are you prepared to give back the garden to him? She said, yes. Then the Prophet told Thabit, اقبل الحديث وطلقها تطليقا. Accept the garden and divorce her once. We call that khulu. A woman asking to be divorced, to separate from the marriage, because she feels that when she continues, she might not obey the command of Allah. Look at the rights Allah has given to women in Islam, and then people will just stand somewhere, pollute our minds, and say Islam is suppressing women. Women has a right to say, okay, to some extent, but if she has a legal excuse. Otherwise, if you don't have legal excuse, you will not smell the fragrance of Jannah. No.
Èwọ̀n ní màá sọ fẹ́lẹ̀ tí èyí ṣòkò ní kọ́ akẹ́sìn ó bá fún ọ̀bẹ̀ èdè ìjẹba lọ yẹn ẹ̀rẹ́ ha gbogbo ìwọ̀n bí sáńtì wọ́n mi kẹ̀yìn fún bàbá àtàwọn ní àgbẹ̀lẹ̀ àkàkẹ́ ní ẹ̀ṣẹ̀lẹ̀lá ní ẹ̀bá àdéjẹ́lá kẹ̀sì tí èkó tí mo ní màá sọ fẹ́lẹ̀ ọ̀tún ó lè fi wò ó yà ní ẹ̀ máa sọ fẹ́lẹ̀ yẹ díẹ̀ lẹ́nu wọ̀n ní ẹ̀yìn lọ ìyá Yòówù ẹ̀jẹ̀ tó lè jẹ̀ gàlọ́ ní ìyẹnà ní àyẹ̀ ẹ̀mbà òun náà kẹ̀sí ṣe ìfàdà lọ ní ti sáà kéèkì náà ìfàdà yìí. Ó táwọn ọ̀lẹ̀ dánù náà lè yẹ̀rẹ̀ ẹ̀ pè gbọ́dọ̀ tí ó ẹ̀dá kẹ́kì tó ń tó sọ ó yẹ ẹ̀ fúnakẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tó ọba náà lè yẹ. Nìkan ní ẹgbẹ́ rẹ̀ yẹn ní àṣẹ ooo ìfàdà lọ́dà. Nìkan ní náà ní ìlú ẹ̀dọ̀ akẹ́sí ìkẹyìn ilẹ̀. Ìwọ̀n ní ènìyàn lọ akẹ́sí ẹ̀yẹ mẹ́kúnmẹ́tọ̀ ọ̀hún akẹ́sí wọ́n ti yé ẹ̀kẹ́jẹ̀ mi. Wọ́n pẹ́ kò fún ọ̀hún ní àṣẹjẹ́ ìfẹ́mi ìsìlámẹ́ àti ògbẹ̀nà kẹ́sí èsùmọ̀ ní iṣẹ́ ẹ̀. Gbàgbọ́ ọ̀pọ̀ ilẹ̀ lọ èdè ìgbèrè akẹ́sí àmì mímì tí wọ́n ní ìkẹ̀gbẹ́ ìgbèrè ètò nílò ẹ̀rọ nípa akẹ́sí kẹ́kàlẹ̀ gbogbo mẹ́rin ìgbéyà.
We'll pause here, inshallah. I think myself and Sheikh Abdullah, we have an office that deals with some of these things. We cannot explain all these details. If somebody has any query about some of these things, divorce, marriage, and all that, the person can inshallah reach out to us. Allah aqulu qawli hadha astaghfirullah li wa lakum wa astaghfirullah. Alhamdulillah, wassalamu ala rasulillah wa alihi wa sahbihi.
Jadi poinnya ini loh, ini mau pakai dia, itu nanti anak dia. Dan dia akan boleh ini mau wasani anak, ni anak wasani anak siapa? Dia itu orang bah, dia pun tak boleh walau. Poinnya ini loh kalau siu, Ika washe kumeni ya meshika kata. Ika nekani ya wanyen yolo ite kwa waka ni adati kwata. Sikete bedi yendi ya kashi sakama. Ewa mini kone tawo uwofe wakani. Tani na kashi uwofe wakani. Jimama kumasa kwa uweke wakane mbaki. Ame shesko sote amekanchoye. Wọ́n ní namishe sitete beni wakano papa baba. Nekwa nesimo ele nyabe ele wo egakashi omoni ko hawo ke otira bo ko mo na e ko fe ko no ka meni yo ni
اللهم اعز الاسلام والمسلمين اللهم اعز الاسلام والمسلمين اللهم ات نفوسنا تقواها وزكها انت خير من زكاها انت وليها ومولاها اللهم انا نسالك الايمان والتقى والعفاف والغنى اللهم اجعلنا من الراشدين اللهم اجعلنا من الراشدين اللهم انا نسالك رحمتك في الدنيا وفي القبر وفي الاخره برحمتك يا ارحم الراحمين صلى الله على نبينا محمد.